Hello everyone, Luke here. And yeah, it's quite a decent chapter this week. Nothing major happens in this week's chapter. No, nothing. But this week, my book came. Yes, my book is now officially out. There is absolutely no reason why people can't go out and buy it. Unless they don't have the money, obviously. But no, seriously, my book is out now. You guys can enjoy it just as much as I've enjoyed writing it. And yeah, that's what I wanted to show you guys. So go and buy the one for me. I'll link the where you can buy it in the description below. But yeah, aside from that, nothing major happens this week. And I am not holding anything in my hand right now because, as I said, nothing major happens this week. Yeah, nothing major happens this week. Oh yeah, I forgot about that guy. Alright guys, this will be Promised Neverland chapter 107. Leuvis is back! Oh my god, it took them long enough. No, seriously guys, in all honesty, I honestly expected Leuvis to come back in some form or another, and I'll tell you why if I can actually find the point where it was, let's see, trying to find it, guys. I am actually trying. Yeah, it's this part right here, because you see all the other demons getting. You see all the other demons with their bodies on the floor, but one demon is missing there. This was it. This was like at the end of Goldie Pond, and you only see the splattered blood of Leuvis and his hat, and you don't see the monkey whatsoever as well. Actually, I don't think you do. Do you see the monkey? No, the monkey is gone. The monkey has actually vanished. So yeah, and as we've established with the Queen herself, the royal family, or some members of the royal family, have a second core, and I'm still on the idea that the monkey Pervious, or however Leuvis actually pronounced that name, the monkey, that's his second core, and I'll get into it when we actually get into the chapter itself. Alright, so this will be chapter 171, titled Defeat. Obviously, this is a reference to the fact that Peter Torrey at this point feels like he is absolutely done with it. It is like he's got no backup plan here, and he's obviously accepting his defeat. And honestly, Peter has a feeling himself. I kind of expected more. I kind of expected more of him. Now, we got a lot out of him. He was a slimy, weaselly, horrible, evil person, but at the same time he was nothing more than a coward, and the last few chapters show just how cowardly he can be, because whenever things don't go his way, he starts panicking and frantically trying to figure out ways to get out of it, even though he knows that it's impossible for him to do that. And even worse still, when he feels like he's lost to food in his eyes, that just makes it all the more just like there's cowardly. I can't find the word to describe it, guys, but yeah, basically, the way that Peter just was like, me lose to food? No, I can't accept that. I refuse to accept that. It's like he can't take the fact that he lost to people that he was trying to suppress all this time, and they've actually rised up against him. But we'll talk more about that in the chapter. So the chapter starts off pretty much from the end of the last chapter, where we have Peter just running away from everyone, and he relays everything that was saying to him, and he's just giving the crazy eyes like, me lose to damn food? No, I won't accept that. And he's trying to run out from the building, trying to get back up from the outside, even though the bridge was destroyed. And it's kind of like, yeah, there's no point in that regard, because if he, even if he could actually get back up, there would be no point, because he's already lost at this point. He's like, I'm not done yet. There has to be a way. And he's like, oh, the Imperial soldiers, if we can get some of the 200,000, even though there's zero chance you can do that, and even if you did, based on what's going to happen into this chapter, yeah, it's not going to work for you, Peter. But he continues on, and he calls up the people from outside. He's like, hey, I need some backup right now. I'm being overwhelmed here. I need backup from you guys. And those demons outside are like, backup? that's not possible. Someone destroyed the outer bridge and no one can get through. We're putting all our efforts into, and he's like, I already know that already. Stop whining. Eat a bird or something. I'm about to fly over here, because he's well aware of the fact that whatever the demons eat, that's the form that they actually take on. So he's like, yeah, I don't care about all of that. You could just eat about it. You could just fly over here. And it shows just the arrogance of Peter, the fact that he thought he can control the demons themselves, and he didn't realise that, yeah, maybe the demons are actually plotting against you as well, Peter. So as Peter is relaying this to the demons and basically telling them, like, I'm in control of you guys, so you do exactly what I say. The other demon's like, excuse me? Who do you think you're talking to here? We can actually kill you where you stand right here, right now, with no regards to what we think about you. So you better, yeah, that's basically what the demons are thinking here. It's like, yeah, you really don't have any control over us. We can control you if we so choose. And this just gets Peter absolutely enraged. He's like, useless idiots, and he's like, and again, it just shows just how much of a coward Peter actually is, in the fact that he has to rely on people that are physically and mentally stronger than him to actually get out of this situation. And even when they're like, excuse me, we don't, it's like, oh, useless idiots. It's just like a whiny, petulant child, basically in the same vein as what Isabella and what Leuvis will describe him later on in the chapter. So as Peter is continuing to run around, he gets cornered by every one of the mothers, and he's like, the women are everywhere. If I triggered their hearts chips at all, no, that's impossible unless the system is up again. Maybe I can get to the brats in the storage room again. Damn it, that also requires a system. So basically, he's trying to figure out ways of how to get around the situation without the demons helping. He's like, the only thing I can rely on is the system, but damn it, it's not rebooted again. And yeah, that comment he made back behind there, the women are everywhere. Damn it. If I trigger their heart chips all at once, yeah, some people on the internet might take offence to that, but given that he's a villain, yeah, they've got no argument against. Like, he's a villain, so of course he'd be saying something like that. So as Peter is running away from all the mothers that are chasing him, he gets another call, and it turns out it's from the Imperial capital, and it goes ... and we just hear what, and we don't hear the rest of this conversation. Before we cut over to the Imperial capital, we have all the demons that were basically manipulated by the royal family and the government that's in charge at the moment, and they're basically like, kill the traitors, kill the evil blood, kill the traitors, kill the evil blood. They're basically doing that chant together. They're going, rah! And we see on a platform, we see Songju and Musica basically tied up at this point, as we see the government basically the government body of the demon world that's in charge at this moment, proudly proclaiming that they will now behead the traitors Songju and Musica. And all we can see is just Songju getting absolutely pissed off about this, because even though he was willing to help out Emma, he wanted kind of like a different regiment to go in to the future of the demon world. It's kind of all for naught at this point. He's kind of losing hope, and we see the two smaller demons. I honestly can't remember their names. Can't remember their names, but basically they were the ones that were saved by those other royal soldiers who were like, yeah, this isn't right, and we kind of have to save these kids. And we actually see those soldiers actually holding them back, because they're like, stop, no, they're going to kill them, they're not evil, no, they're going to be killed, they're not evil, they're not evil. But the soldiers are like holding back, basically saying to them like, if you blow the coven out, we're all screwed, you will be screwed, and that will be a bad idea. And as they're just getting panicky about this, Musica is just lamenting the fact that she was unable to help Emma and Ray and everyone in more ways than what she's already done at this point. But before the execution can be carried out, we see one of them turning around. It's like, huh? As he sees a figure approaching him, it's like, what? And we see, and I love the reveal of Leuvis here, because even though we can tell that is Leuvis, because of like it has more royal guard on it, and it's like pretty much as soon as Leuvis's shoulder comes into play, you immediately know who it is, and they do a great build up here of him just walking around, everybody's just reacting to him, and the royal governing body actually notices this, and so does Musica, and they're like crushing, like, what's going on here? And then we see Leuvis's feet, so it gets us more hyped up. Again, it's like, oh my god, yes, I knew this day was coming, and all the demons are like, what the? And then we see Pervious, like basically the monkey, Pervious, going on his shoulder, and it's just like, he pops up, he's like, hello, you know who it is now. He's that's basically what happens here. They're like, what? And then the monkey just pops up. It's like, hello, yes, it's us. And Leuvis goes, interesting. As he's like, interesting things that are going on here. And again, I love that build up to the reveal of like, yes, Leuvis is actually back. And like I said, everybody could have predicted that. I predicted that. I know a lot of people predicted that Leuvis was going to return at some point, because in all honesty, he is the best villain that the Promised Neverland actually has. Well, actually, I don't consider him like a villain. I consider him more of a, like an antagonist, because even though he has done despicably horrible things, he's only done it out of the benefit of like challenging the humans. Like, he wants a decent challenge from the humans, because as he said, if I can actually get the volume, because yes, I've got the volumes here of the Goldie Pond arc, and again, at some point, I don't know when, but I am going to do a video on the Goldie Pond arc itself. But where is it? It's somewhere around here. Here it is. Here it is, where he goes, a hunt is only enjoyable when both sides can put their lives on the line. That is his philosophy. And again, the fact that there's been so much oppression in the world, it's kind of been an absolute bore to him, and it's kind of like he wants things to go back to where they were 1,000 years ago before the promise happened, but now he can't. And it's like, I've lost it. There's nothing here. And it was only when Emma, Lucas, and all of them actually gave him a decent challenge that it kind of like changed something in him, and kind of thought like, maybe if we can actually change the world, then maybe we can actually have decent challenges and actually come to understand the humans just as much as the humans can kind of come to understand us. Again, maybe that's not what the author's intended, but that's the way I'm seeing it. Like, Leuvis is much more smart in seeing the bigger picture of everything, and the fact that humans and demons are in nature hunters. It's the desire to hunt, and it's kind of like, what's the point of it being an actual decent and actually getting your blood boiling if you both can't put your life on the line? So anyway, I've had to turn on my phone here for this part here, because for some reason the panel gets cut off. But anyway, they go, what do you think you're doing, Grand Duke Leuvis? Yeah, it's either Leuvis or Lewis. But again, I may swap between the two names, because I've just been calling him Lewis for so long, but the official translation is supposed to be Leuvis. But maybe it is supposed to be Lewis. I don't know. But anyway, that's besides the point. In this panel, when they go Duke Leuvis, you have the monkey going, like he does his own reaction. Like he does his own reaction. Like, yes, it's us. And again, that's what gets me thinking that he's actually the second core of Leuvis, because if you've noticed throughout so many of the panels, let me just, it's in chapter, it's in volume 10, because if you see, like what, where is it, here, right here, you can see Pervious, like the monkey, just, that's a better image of it. Yeah, you can see him actually copying Leuvis's movements, almost as if there's like some sort of psychic connection between them, and it's very, and it is actually making it very apparent, because they actually focus on the monkey at some point in this chapter. So yeah, that makes me think that he is the second core. But if that's the case, if I figure that out, I won't do the call that shit dance here, because Sid was actually expecting me to do the call that shit dance, but I won't do it here. I'll wait and see if we can actually find out that yes, the monkey is actually Leuvis's second core, and you have to kill the monkey in order to kill Leuvis. But anyway, that's besides the point. So yeah, Leuvis is back. He's back in full force, and he's like, Oh, no, wait, the panel was there. Sorry, I didn't scroll down as much. Anyway, as Lewis is overseeing everything, we see the royal capitals, but we see the government body actually bowing down to him and going, I thought he was missing. You're alive, Your Highness? And then we get a flashback to, because they actually do make a point in this chapter to bring up the fact that, Lewis was shot in the eye, killed, but his body was nowhere to be found when Goldie Pond was destroyed. And, he goes, unintentionally, yes. And as he says, unintentionally, yes, he squeezes Perseus's face. He's like, it's basic obvious that the authors say, this is Lewis's second core here. That's why he's squeezing it while going unintentionally, yes. So, unless maybe unintentionally it's coming from Perseus, God, there's so much to unravel here. You see, this is why I'm so excited for Lewis to be back, and I love the fact, again, I'm going off on a tangent here, I love the fact that they've built up to his return, but they've done it in so ways. Like, the first time that we knew something was up was at the end of Goldie Pond where he was destroyed, his body was nowhere to be found. Then we had references to him throughout the last 9 chapters where he's been disappeared, he's been in hiding. They've had it's been 2 years since the Grand Duke has made any contact with his sister or something like that. They said something like that. It's been 2 years since that actually happened. And then we had the flashback with Julius retiring, where we had Lewis actually involved in that flashback, and he was actually the one who guided Julius to actually make the promise himself, because I feel like Lewis saw a killer's eye in Julius in the same way that he saw it in Lucas and Emma's eyes. But I love the fact that they've kind of hinted at his return eventually, but without shoving it down our throat. Yes, Lewis is coming back, with constant reference to him each chapter. So I love the fact that they've left it for us to actually pick up on it, but kept it so subtle that it's kind of been on the back burner of our mind and thinking he's going to come back someday. We know he's going to come back someday, and obviously now's that day. But again, like I said, just the fact that unintentionally, yes, as he's squeezing Perseus's hand, makes me think that again the monkey is the second core of Lewis, because like we established, the Queen had a second core. And I believe I mentioned that maybe Songju and Lewis have second core, so that was probably the reason why Lewis survived. I believe I mentioned that. So if that's the case, then I'll do the call that shit dance if that is ever actually revealed that the monkey is his second core. But again, what I love most about Lewis is the fact that he is evil. Not denying the awful stuff he does, there's no denying about that, but he's kind of like Thanos in a way. Thanos he's kind of like a mixture between Infinity War Thanos and Endgame Thanos, in the fact that he is evil, he is diabolical, but at the same time, you can actually have a conversation with him. You can actually talk with him. You can actually stand there and talk with him, get your ideals across to him, and he can get his ideals across to you. And even though he says that there's no way we can come to a compromise here, or there's no way we can come to an understanding here, we have to fight, it's our nature to fight, he at least respects them. That's the one thing that made me love him most as a villain, is the fact that, where is it? Here we go, it's this volume 11, during the battle with him, when after he stabs Emma, he goes, thank you, all of you, you and your friends, I give you my utmost respect. And again, I love that about he actually respects the people that actually come after him and give him a worthy challenge and actually make him put his life on the line. So that he is okay, I have to get my sleeves up, I have to get tactical just as much as they're getting tactical, and it basically makes him feel like this is actually, makes me feel alive. He basically lives for the moment in battle, basically. That's his character. It's if I can find an opponent that gives me a worthy fight, then they will have my respect, and they certainly did that. And may I remind you the amount of things that actually had to happen to Lewis to take him down the first time, and now he's back, like, imagine of the people that were actually involved in that fight against him: Emma, Ray, Hugo, Violet, Adam, Pepe, and Nigel. 7 people involved in that fight, and they blasted him with bullets, they electrocuted him, they splashed water on him, they cornered him, they threw a flash grenade in his face, blinding his senses. They basically made him claustrophobic in a house. They punched him. They kicked him. They threw furniture. They threw furniture at him. It took so much to take Lewis down the first time. If you go and read the battle with Lewis and see just how much was needed to take him down, it'll be like, oh my God, how are they gonna do it this time around? Well, now that we have Isabella and Norman back in the fray, even though we've lost Hugo and Lucas, now that we have Norman and Isabella, it'll be interesting to see what will happen when we actually do get to the point when there is actually a rematch. I actually think the final battle, like, because they're setting up Lewis to be like the final obstacle of the series now, so I reckon the final battle is going to come down to basically the Goldie Pond Lock, Emma, Ray, Norman, basically everyone versus Lewis again, and he's going to be like, if you guys can actually give me a decent challenge and you can actually defeat me, you are free to go. And I believe he will actually uphold that end of the bargain. It's like, kill me, or at least make me unconscious or render me unable to fight, and you're free to go into human world. It'll basically, I assume it to be like some sort of final test for Emma to see if, like, even when she is in human world, if they actually did come into and fade human world, would Emma have the capacity to actually go out and kill the demons? So I feel like it is going to be a final test for Emma to have a final rematch with Lewis to see if she is worthy to actually go into human world and escape from demon world. So if that's the case, that wouldn't surprise me, because again, like I said, the battle with Lewis is one of my favourite battles in the series, and it's one of my. You see, I'm not a fan of the anime of The Promised Neverland, but the battle with Lewis is one of the things that I'm most hyped about, because it screams to be animated. So that battle with Lewis in Goldie Pond, I am looking forward to it. And if the final battle with him does turn out to be a grand spectacle, then at least it will end on a high note rather than a frustrating one. Anyway, that's my whole gushing over Lewis as a character, and I'm obviously going to make an update video once the series is done about basically Lewis as a character as well, because again, he is top 3 favourite characters for me. We've got Emma, Ray, and then Lewis, and those are like my 3 favourite characters in the series. But going back to the chapter, everyone is still in complete shock that Lewis is even back, and he goes, leaving that aside, what is the meaning of this? You've gained a lot of power while I was gone, even though you're merely dogs of the 5 regiment houses. Oh my God, I've missed you, Lewis. And again, Perseus is just giving like the creep face as well, like, you've gained a lot of power when I've gone, even though you're just basically subordinates to the 5 regiment houses, and you forgot that I'm part of the 5 regiment houses, and you just see the fear on the government's eyes, like, holy shit, we forgot about that. We actually forgot about that. And again, I love, even though you're merely dogs of the 5, it's basically just like, boom, smacking them down. It's like, what is the meaning of this? Even though Songju is not part of the 5 regiment house anymore, he's still my brother. So why are you executing him? Why are you just blindly going with the blind traditions? You and giving yourselves all this power when you've forgotten that I'm still here. And he goes on to say, well, I guess you were conjured by the Ratari boy. And again, I love the fact that he just called Peter Ratari a boy, because to him, yeah, Peter Ratari is a kid, because he's lived like probably more than 1,000. Yeah, he's lived more than 1,000 years. So compared to Peter Ratari, yeah, he is a kid. And he goes, deplorable indeed. And then all he does is that he turns to his brother and he goes, it's been a while, Songju. But before anything can happen, he slashes Songju. Now, at first, I thought he actually killed him, and Musica actually gets this thought as well, and she goes, Songju, but no, it turns out he just slashed him to take a bit of his blood, because he wants to prove a point to everyone. Now, what I love most about this is that Lewis seems to like take the mantle of I'm gonna compare this scene to a scene in Julius Caesar where it's like we had the rebels coming out and they killed Caesar because they thought he was some sort of like curse or something, some sort of like evil leader. But then Mark Antony came along and said, no, actually that isn't the case. They're actually the ones that were the guilty and evil party. And Lewis kind of does something similar to it. And again, they're still making an effort for Perseus to actually copy Lewis's movements, again showing the fact that maybe Lewis, his second core is impervious. But anyway, he addresses all the citizens after he slashes the blood of Songju, and he goes, citizens, take a look, this is the evil blood, this is what you feared and hated, the sinister blood. And before the citizens' eyes, he actually drinks the blood to actually prove to them, like, this is not sinister. You were basically all deceived by not just the 500 houses, not just by my sister, but by the Vitari line and by the government that's actually here at this point. And as he's drinking the blood, everyone's just freaking out about it. It's like, Your Highness, what are you doing? How can you take the tainted blood? Because they don't know that it's not tainted at this point. So they're like, Your Highness, how can you do that? How can you do that? But again, I love the fact that Lewis keeps to his morals, and it's like, yeah, if I'm gonna be considered someone who can put his life on the line, I have to drink something that they consider poisonous themselves. So as he does this, he's like, there's no need to fear. The evil blood isn't some infectious poison. That was a falsehood created by my sister, Latrimephilia, blah 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 blah. I will never be able to pronounce that name, but still, he's like, yeah, you thought this blood was tainted blood, was poison blood, but that was just a farce created by my sister, showing that, again, even though he was part of the 5 regiment houses and he still went along with them, he kind of had his own agenda, he had his own ideologies. Like in the same case with Goldie Pond now, the fact that he wasn't as active in the chases with people unless it was something he deemed worthy, that someone who had the eyes of a killer like Emma and Lucas, and like you said, when Lush or Luke or that other demon, the one with the devil horns, devil curly horns, was basically attacking Monica, Jake and Theo, and he was like, I'll give you 10 seconds, and Lewis was in the background going, this is pathetic, this is boring here, this is not the way a fight should go. A fight is only worthy if both sides put their lives on the line, and to see us in this position of power here, that's just pathetic. And again, gotta give mad respect to Lewis on that front. The fact that also as well, I've just realised that this is the first time I've actually talked about Lewis in the canon of the series, in a chapter review. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to bring that up as well. But anyway, that's what he felt. He felt like everyone should deserve an advantage. That's why he gave them all weapons, and he even took up his master Lucas to give him an advantage as well when they actually had their fight. But in the end, he still came out on top with Lucas, but because he actually got a worthy fight with Emma, I believe something did change in him, and thought like, maybe these humans can bring things back to the way things were. So as Lewis finishes drinking the blood, he and says that it was a falsehood created by his sister. All the citizens are just like in shock and awe, like this, like, what? We've been deceived all this time? Lewis explains more that it's rather the evil blood is miraculous blood to us all, and he goes on to explain that if they drink the blood, they won't degenerate even if they don't eat humans. And he goes on to explain that how the Queen and everyone just like kept them so suppressed in an iron grip that it basically led to corruption in their society. And as he says, but 700 years ago, the Queen and aristocrats misinformed everyone that this blood was toxic, framed those with this blood as traitors and slaughtered them. And you see the two demon kings just off to the side because they're just like crying their eyes out because they've now discovered that their parents were killed for basically nothing. And oh my god, that is dark. That is absolutely dark. The fact that they've actually had to hear this from a member of the 5 regiment houses that's actually come out and said, actually, this is not cursed blood. It's actually a miracle blood for us. And yeah, they've basically died for nothing. I don't think. No, they actually did know this. I just think they were actually thinking flashbacks to their parents about basically dying for nothing, basically. And Lewis goes on to say, all for their greed and regime. The power of the evil-blooded was inconvenient to rule the citizens with an iron fist, using the farm. So basically, he's saying that, yeah, they told you that this was toxic for their own personal gain, because if they came out and said that this was a miracle blood that made it so that we didn't have to eat humans, then there would have been no point to the farms, and there would have been no point to actually suppressing the demon culture and keeping everything in this world under our thumb with an iron fist. That's basically what Leuvis is saying here. It's like, you've all been deceived. You normal citizens have all been deceived by the royal family, because you think this cursed blood is actually cursed and toxic, when in fact it's a miracle blood. And if they actually came out and said that, yeah, there would be no point to anything, and there'd be no point to their regime as well. So that's why they actually said it. And we see other demons just going, no, how could that be the way? And he goes, I speak the truth. We, the royal family and the 5 regiment houses, devoured evil blood long ago and obtained bodies that don't degenerate. So that's basically how basically the royal families in the 5 regiment houses and basically in Goldie Pond can keep their body and can keep maintaining their appearance. But basically, and even though Lewis didn't need to eat human meat in that regard, he still found it necessary to keep his hunter instincts alive, because if he didn't keep his hunter instincts alive, then the humans would have overthrown him long ago. So he kind of had to keep asserting that sense of fear into them, but at the same time showing that he did actually respect humans that he deemed worthy in his eyes. As Lewis carries on and says, all of it was unnecessary. Ever since the promise 700 years ago, the contained lack of human meat and degenerations and deaths caused by it, all the suffering and fear were unavoidable. Once the evil blood shared their blood in order to save the citizens, but they were killed for it, and now, for the same reason, they're about to be killed by the greedy government. Truly ludicrous. You want to kill the evil blood? Those two aren't traitors, and again, I love the fact that he's just basically come in and it's just been like, what's the meaning of this? They're not evil blood, you've been deceived and everything, and he's telling the truth from 700 years ago, and the government has actually been suppressing you, and he calls it truly ludicrous. Now again, why I feel like he's doing this is trying to get the killer instincts back into demons, because they've just been under so much suppression that it's kind of like he wants things to go back to the way it is, and the fact that he can actually say, actually, we can maintain our form without eating humans, and therefore we can actually go back to actually having the wars that we had thousands of years ago. So that's why he's basically doing all of this. That's what I'm taking away from it, that he's doing this to try and go back to the way it was 1,000 years ago before the promise. And he goes on to say, rather, they are the heroes who tried to save you, the citizens. And Sonju actually questioning this, he goes, brother, why? I mean, he always said that the promise and the farms were annoying evils, but he had zero interest in politics and never cared about justice or doing something about the suffering of the citizens. All he did was pursue his passions. And again, I feel like the only reason he's got involved now is because the 5 regiment house has been destroyed, and he's probably heard about this and thought, it's gotta be Emma. It has to be Emma. So if I can get myself involved at this point, maybe I can actually have a chance to meet Emma again, and actually get a decent rematch with her, and actually give it a final test to see if she can actually leave Demon World and Demon World herself. And he goes on to even address the fact, because he probably knows what his brother's actually thinking, and he says, I'm sure this isn't like me, but the ones I dumped all this responsibility on have left this world, and I cannot look the other way for just following the orders of humans. This regiment has its limits, and yeah, as well, not only would the fact that the 5 regiment houses are gone, he kind of had a feeling like if the 5 regiment houses are gone, then that means the Rotary line can actually take over the whole demon world, and we can't have that. We can't have the humans suppressing gods, because that would be truly ludicrous as well. And he goes on to say, other than that, I guess it's just a whim. And he actually thinks back to the battle that he actually had at Goldie Pond. So again, that's probably the reason why he's getting involved now, is the fact that he knows that he actually has an idea that the humans actually destroyed the 5 regiment houses and the Queen herself, and he probably knew that they were from Gracefield House, so he narrowed it down to actually being Emma. And he's like, yeah, if I can get involved now, and if I can get the citizens on my side, then maybe I have a chance of meeting Emma again and actually giving her a rematch and seeing how much she has improved in the last 2 years. And it'll probably give him a chance to show off the new skills that he's probably acquired over the last 2 years as well. Anyway, he goes on to continue dressing the citizens like a motherfucking boss he is. He's like, the true traitors were the Queen and the houses, and the current government vassal armies of the 5 regiment houses and the farms. And we see at this point, the 2 kids that basically lost their parents, the 2 demon kids, they're just actually on his side, and just like, Your Highness, are basically treating him as like a saviour that's come to actually save them. And he's like, I, Grand Duke Leuvis, order for the execution to be cancelled and the arrest of the traitors, the leaders of the current government, and that includes Peter Atari. And that was what Peter Atari actually heard over the phone. And we come back to him just being absolutely depressed now. We just see him falling on his hands and knees and just being like, no, even the Imperial capital fell to enemy hands. Now, notice how he says enemy hands, meaning that he never considered Lewis an ally, because Lewis was probably stuck in the old ways of just being like in it for the hunt, and in it to actually challenge the humans and see if he can actually find a worthy opponent capable of actually giving him a challenge and potentially killing him. But Peter was obviously in this world where he's kind of like, I need to keep this world under my fist, ruling under an iron fist, and I actually need to rule the world myself with an iron grip now that the royal families are gone. But now Lewis has made that completely void, and he's like, there's nothing left I can do. They've already made a promise too. I've lost, I've been defeated. And we see just like a metaphor of all the kids leaving through a portal to human world with the mamas and everyone, and just seeing it like all crumble away. Like basically his entire family line, basically everything he's worked for is just completely crumbling before his very eyes at this point. As Peter is going on saying it's over and just clutches ears and head and just being like, it's over and everything, we see Emma confront him in the hallway with a gun, and she's like, don't move. And he's like, no, not yet. They've made a promise with the demon god, but they haven't implanted it yet. The one who made the promise was 63194 Emma, and then he realizes that this is the Emma that's standing right in front of him, and this gets the ideas going in his head. He goes on to say, got it. I lost. Yeah, I lost. There's no future for me. And he's like saying, please don't shoot me. And he's doing it like such a condescending, smart, added way, like just the complete bastard that he is. And he's like, but as long as I kill her, Emma, the promise is void. The future will be destroyed too. And we see him just getting like the evil glare in his eyes, and that's where the chapter ends. So, what a chapter! Probably one of my favourite chapters in a while. Now, few things I want to take away from here is that I don't think that Peter is actually gonna be able to take down Emma at this point, because even if she dies, I don't think the promise will actually be voided. Then I feel like there is going to be something else to it that was put in place just in case Emma did die herself. But what that means, that's anyone's guess. Maybe the part of the promise, maybe the demon god actually told her that Lewis has survived, and maybe part of the promise was just to be like have a rematch with him or something. Like, I don't know what the promise is, but whatever the case, next chapter we're getting Peter versus Emma, like just those two ideologies clashing with each other, and hopefully we'll have so much more to talk about in the same way that I had so much to talk about in this chapter. But anyway, guys, what did you think of this chapter? Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. And this will be Lasher Luke signing off. Later, guys. And yes, I did get a haircut. See you later.